Hello, I'm John Rhys Davis, and I am privileged to tell you that you are listening to the Regular Joe's podcast. Oh, has there a treat in for you?
Welcome to the Regular Joe's podcast. I'm Dave Pisani.
I'm Barry Kay.
I'm Todd Pleasant.
I'm Derryl DePriest.
And I'm Brian Mix.
Everybody's here, so you know it's something either important or nothing planned. But
it's our big 555th episode.
It's big number 555.
We told the audience previously that we had a plan for this show, so now they'll find out that we're telling the truth.
Plan in the works for 666 also, people, so stand by.
And Instagram us with your potential sacrifices because we'll accept those.
You got 2 years.
Yeah. I got Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden lined up to be on that show. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
we may other than the top 100 movies, this may be in the plans longer than anything else, I think.
Yeah.
Although people just did it today. But just like however you handle your assignments, that's up to you, as long as you turn them in on time. And here we are. So what we're talking about is the top 55 most important movies pre the year 2000. I wanted to say of the 20th century, but apparently the 20th century ended in December of 2000. So that doesn't count. So if it came after December 31st, 1999, does not count. So anything pre-December 31st, 1999. And we've defined, and everyone will probably have their own definition, and that's what makes it fun, and there will be arguing. Define this as, you mean you never saw...
essentially a bucket list.
Somebody says, I'm trying to think of movies that we don't have.
Movies you have to see.
Okay.
Yeah. So the inspiration for this, right, was that I had made the comment that I'd never seen Lawrence of Arabia.
And then we're like,
I was going to watch Lawrence of Arabia. And that's when we started saying, well, what are the most important? First of all, how have you never seen that? And then it became, what are the most important movies that everybody should see?
Across all genres, so we're not just sticking with science fiction here,
right?
Our normal stuff. This is all genres.
Somebody who's never seen a movie ever and wants to know what are the 55 movies I should not end my life without seeing. This is the list.
This is the list for Barry. These are the movies that Barry should see.
No, Barry's gonna have a different list, I bet.
I'm going to more on that coming, but I also just want to make sure everybody understands.
He always puts a twist on it because
but
there are movies. I'll say there's movies on my list that I don't even like, but they're important.
Okay, I will say every movie on my list I like on some level. I don't have any movie on my list I dislike, but I appreciate the importance.
I definitely have movies I dislike, but I understand.
And I appreciate the importance of every film on here. Yeah.
I've got no pretentious bullshit.
I made it.
I love every movie that's on this list, and there are none that I don't like.
See, you may be missing the boat then on something.
I'm
could be.
I'm going to make a pledge right here to see every movie you guys name that I haven't seen.
Wow.
All right.
That's a bold statement.
And I'm going to say that I made a conscious choice that I did not want to have a movie on my list that I hadn't seen.
That makes no sense.
I crammed a couple movies in to make sure I had seen
on the
them
list.
by the time we got to this episode.
Oh,
Brian,
okay.
I
Mine
have-
are
Brian,
100% movies I've seen.
I think I've seen them all.
Mine are 100% movies I've seen. Brian, I think you and I have probably seen the most films between our conversations we've had. Keep
However, I
track
believe
of what you haven't seen, just numbers, okay?
Yeah.
Just make hash marks, and I'd really be interested at the end to see which one of it. In fact, we could all do that.
I'm going to
Which one
write
of
them
us
down. If there's
I'm
something
gonna
I
write them
haven't
down.
seen, I'll write it
titles,
down. And
has
then
the
I'll
most
decide if
titles
I'll
that we
see it.
haven't.
And,
We
and
may
Todd,
disagree.
I also think that your list will contain the most movies I haven't seen.
Mine?
But we shall see.
I think.
Yeah, interesting.
I
Okay.
think Brian's list will have the most we haven't seen.
Brian's always coming up with stuff that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would actually say that that's probably true.
But if you
And I think I will have the most movies that you guys don't want to see.
and again,
Okay.
this is where we're going to argue. But you have to defend your choice. Such and such is one of the most important movies because
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it not because we'll let you know when let's all let
Well,
each other
and-
know. It's like that's not important. That's bullshit.
Todd and I were texting yesterday about a movie that we think they're going to make film students watch just to
Yes.
know what not to do. But that's a separate
films.
conversation.
That's a whole separate thing.
Well, let me
Oh,
tell you,
yeah.
having gone
That's a
through
whole nother
film
list.
school and having taken cinema studies, there is a lot of bullshit movies that they force you to watch, and there's a handful on this list, but there's a ton that I don't buy into.
Start off. We're going to go chronologically, and so we're going to
Yes.
start off and by asking what's the earliest film that you have, and then we're going to proceed from there.
Yeah,
Dave, do you have
that
any
was
other
the
housekeeping
only
that we-
easy way to
Sounds
organize
good.
Seemed to be
this.
the only way that made any sense to do this.
Right.
Because otherwise
it's
we'd
gonna
just be a
very
free-for-all.
random.
And nobody, I don't think anyone, Daryl's in must be in California because the sun is streaming on his side of his head.
Well, I'm trying to get some light on my list
No,
because,
that's fine. Okay, do whatever
because
you
I've
need.
got a printed out spreadsheet.
Have your light. Doesn't bother.
I don't have multiple monitors like all your guys.
This
fancy
is radio.
setups, so.
It's not. It's
Okay.
not video. It doesn't
So,
matter.
Dave, do you have something you got to take care of first?
You know what? Who's going to take care of you? That's Fanboy Collectibles. They'll
Oh,
always
yeah.
take care of you. It's the holiday after season, and if you got money or you got whatever, you're missing that one thing you thought you were going to get from Santa Claus. Check them out, Fanboy Collectibles. There's a There's some Planet of the Apes pops from Beneath the Planet of the Apes. Who doesn't want a James Franciscus pop?
Serious.
That one actually is cool with the little bandage on him. There's that. There's some Star Trek First Contact pops. Speaking of, we spoke about it before the show. Exo 6 Wesley Crusher up for pre-order. Hot Toys Nice Pool. Ryan Reynolds with the long hair. His hair looks nice. There's a Hot Toys Chopper from Ahsoka. There's all kinds of things.
In stock. Get them right now.
Yeah, get them right now if you need that chopper. So they got Hasbro and
Hasbro high-end role play.
there you go.
Yeah.
Kotobukiya, Sideshow, statues. If you don't have a statue in your collection, 2025 may be the year you want to add one or two. Us action figure collectors were like, oh, statues, they do nothing. Well, meanwhile, you buy your Hot Toys and you stand it there, and other than Tide, you don't do anything with it. So there's nothing wrong with an awesome statue because there's plenty of awesome ones. So check those out. Check them out online, fanboycollectibles.com. Check them out at their store in Newtown, Connecticut, and tell them Riga Joe sent you. Okay. Well, this is actually the first official broadcast of 2025, even though the other one came out in 2025, I think.
Happy New Year's, everyone.
Yeah,
that was my thing.
This will
Happy
be
New Year's.
I no longer work in an office, and I'm so thrilled I don't have to say or type Happy New Year. I have not said Happy New Year to anyone except my family on New Year's, and that's it. All the Happy New and then for a week, are you typing Happy New Year for everything you type, every email? So sick of that. Screw all you people.
You're sounding a little bit like George Costanza's dad right now.
Unhappy New Year, people.
I'm imagining Dave in the workplace now. It's
I'm happy to have a happy New Year, but
barely
do you really
functioning curmudgeon at work.
You don't. No.
Dave really just sits in a lawn chair in his front porch now, despite the temperature, and yells at people.
Despite the snow and the cold.
That's it.
Get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn.
Snowflake.
Get off my perfectly 3D printed lawn.
That's
That'd be nice. Wouldn't have to do anything. It'd be green all year round. Okay, let's jump this thing off. So, as we said, we're going chronologically from the earliest. So, without saying the name of the movie, what's the earliest year anyone has?
1933.
27.
I got 1931.
I got 27.
Barry leads us off.
No, I have 27.
Oh, 27. You lead us
Brian
off.
has 27. David
and I have the same movie.
I have 33. I think Todd and I have the same movie.
All right, Brian is going to say Metropolis, as will I.
Metropolis.
Yep.
So
I mean, while it's
1927.
German, and I said it is German, right?
It is German, but the subtitles are in English.
Yeah,
At least the version I
exactly.
saw.
But it's, I mean, it was like, despite Man in the Moon and all those sort of experimental things, it's
George Millet.
the first science fiction movie, really, right?
Yeah, with C-3PO's mom. Yeah.
Exactly, with Maria. So
Maria.
it's important because
And
it's
Barry's
the
wife.
earliest incarnation of a science fiction film.
No doubt.
First genre film.
First genre film.
I have not seen it.
Okay, mark it down.
I have not either. That's why it's
You-
not on my
I think
list.
that's the first genre film when Nosferatu was before that.
It's a horror movie. This is a science fiction.
That's a genre film. Well, no,
It's a
yeah,
genre, okay.
I think
That-
it counts.
First science fiction movie.
I'm saying science fiction.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
Well, no one had Nosferatu. That's 1921. No one had that on their list.
No. Because I just saw.
So some of you had 33.
Yep.
I had 31 for my next
I
one.
had 31 also.
hit us with 31.
Barry, go ahead.
I had Frankenstein. In
Yeah,
1931.
absolutely.
Yeah, I
It was
as well.
hard to pick, certainly between Frankenstein and Dracula, but I think Frankenstein makeup effects, certainly more so than Dracula. So that's why I picked it. I think they're equally as important, but if I had to pick between the two, I picked Frankenstein.
That was my thought process as well.
There you go. So now, who has something? Raise your hand. Sorry, audience, if you have something from 1933. Brian doesn't.
Brian doesn't. Okay.
I'm shocked.
Oh,
You don't have King Kong?
no King Kong?
I don't have King Kong.
Oh my
Okay.
god!
Wow.
Okay.
Had to make a list. So,
And you'll find out why in 1935, but no, I don't have
Okay,
King
fair enough. Fair enough.
Hey,
I
mean-
did. We talked about what was our what is our thinking behind this list, and a lot of my thinking behind this list is what are these guys not going to write down?
okay,
Oh.
that's good. That's good.
It's not a
Okay.
contest, but okay. Who
Because my
has
first list was 110
Daryl or
movies long.
Todd? Talk about King Kong a little bit.
It's a seminal film. It's basically it's spawned its own kind of genre. It's even if you look at it today, there's a story there. It's not just a monster running rampant. There's a whole kind of thing to it that even persists. It's been remade, but like I said,
Stop motion, groundbreaking.
It really is.
That's right.
And it's one of these things that there's I don't say very few, but there's small number of things that you don't need to have seen the film that it's become an icon in of itself. And Kong is one of those things. It's like the story without having seen the film because it's so permeated in our culture.
Yeah, walk down the street in New York City and look in the gift shops, and every shop has King
That's what I'm
Kong
saying.
atop the Empire
You don't
State
need to
Building.
have seen the film. It's
Yeah.
Just for the visual effect, the groundbreaking visual effects at that point in 1933, I think it has to be on the list.
I would say this is one of the most important films of all time for special effects. I mean, it really,
Yeah.
it really started.
really
really
every
started-
giant monster that followed in his footprints.
Well, and when you talk to or listen to any of these, the guys that we grew up idolizing that did special effects, they all grew up watching King Kong and being inspired by that.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Brian. So you didn't have that, but does anyone have anything earlier than 35? No, which means 34. Brian, you have something from 1935.
1935, The Bride of Frankenstein.
Okay.
They claim that's a better movie.
It is a better movie.
It is a better movie.
Yeah.
The funny thing about talkies is for silent movies they had orchestrations for the entire silent movie. Talkies come out and they stop playing music during movies for 2 years. And Frankenstein, unfortunately, is one of those movies that has no score. Yeah. Because it was in that period. But Bride of Frankenstein has a fantastic score. And it's also a movie that, depending on your age or your inclination, when you see it, it's either a horror movie or a comedy that parodies a horror movie. It's really a deep film if you take a look at it and pull the layers back. That's why I really love The Bride of Frankenstein.
Fair enough. I had that on my list to watch this Halloween, and I never got to it, so I got to rewatch that. Okay.
And if you've been watching Creature Commandos, it's topical. So
Yes.
Yeah.
Barry,
Both Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein.
Have you seen Bride of Frankenstein, Barry?
I haven't.
You haven't. So you guys, every time one comes up you haven't seen, I want you to speak up.
Yep.
So we know we can finger you. Okay.
35. All right. We're going to have to ask these questions all the time.
Yep.
What's the next?
39.
I have 37.
Come on, 39 is the most famous year of
I have a
all
37. Can we hear
Barry?
37?
Barry, what do you got?
I don't have another one till 39.
He doesn't have another one until 1985.
So, Dave, you and I think.
Wait, what year did Willow come out?
Yeah.
So
I'm not mentioning Willow on this episode.
So
I wrote it down.
My 1937 is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
While there's been animated movies before, this is something that's just groundbreaking.
Actually,
animation.
there hadn't been animated movies before.
There were
this
animated
was the first one.
shorts,
not features.
There were shorts, but not a feature.
This is exactly. This was really the first
an ambitious
feature length animated film
that hit on all levels, full length, great story, amazing soundtrack that took the nation gripped in depression by storm, and Whistle While You Work and all those things that just the box office that Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs did as well is staggering.
I think it's in the early days of Disney, it kind of really got them out of some issues.
It took animation from being kind of a novelty thing or teaser thing. It was because at this time, every time you went to see a film, there were shorts ahead of the films. Yeah, it took it into the realm of being a viable feature option.
Absolutely.
And it was.
I mean, it really, if it did not work or people didn't embrace it, there would be no.
Very different market.
I don't think there wouldn't be Disney World. There wouldn't be. I don't think there'd be anything.
No, there wouldn't.
Yeah, it would have ruined the studio. Yeah,
it really.
Dave says as he's wearing his Mickey Mouse.
I'm sorry, I'm wearing
sweatshirt.
a Mickey Mouse shirt.
Yep.
But yeah, it definitely is. It's response. It's almost like the jumping off point for a Disney movie. Everyone knows what the words a Disney movie means.
Exactly.
Not to mention Disney Channel and merchandise and parks and this is it was built on this really. Yep. Okay. So everyone has 39 next. No 38s. Let's 38. Let's go. In my order, Todd, what do you have for 39? Well, I have multiples.
Okay, I have a fairly obscure film called The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some of you may not have seen it, but I suggest you check it out.
Does everyone have Wizard of Oz?
Yeah,
I do not. I do not have Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
And I will tell you that my relationship with Wizard of Oz is very tortured. I have seen a lot of parts of it, but never the whole thing in one sitting.
What? That's the kind of thing like you've never seen. I just rewatched it twice this year. It's so important. It's not even funny.
It's the flying. They creep you out, right?
I don't like the flying monkeys, and there's a lot of it I actually don't like. But I love Wicked, so don't get me wrong.
I just saw Wicked, not expecting to like it at all, and I actually really enjoyed it.
I like so much about Wicked, but Wizard of Oz is
Wizard of Oz is groundbreaking.
Anyway,
but you can't deny it for what it accomplished.
I do not deny it.
In 1939,
I couldn't put it on my list because I've never seen it through. And
that's
sitting.
fine. That's fine if you value. In my opinion, if you value the importance of it, it's fine to put on your list, even if you haven't seen it. But
I have a very significant film, Derryl, that I'm going to make the same admission to later, much later. So
I think it's one of those movies where we all feel like we know The Wizard of Oz, but when you actually sit down as an adult and watch it from beginning to end, there's a lot of stuff in that movie that you don't remember from your childhood viewings of it.
I think it could be the most important movie of all time. It's not my favorite movie. It's not even in my top.
If you follow prop auctions, it is.
Yeah, I was going to say.
If I hadn't won those ruby slippers, I wouldn't be saying that.
Yeah,
certainly I think the most expensive.
The next
props.
movie may be in that category, Dave, not this one.
Yep.
Does anyone else have more 39?
Yeah,
I have another 39.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, somebody.
Barry, go ahead.
I'll go, and then maybe it's probably the same one, but maybe it's not. I think we have to acknowledge Gone with the Wind.
Yeah,
we do. Yep, Gone with the Wind.
Shockingly, both of those films directed by the same guy.
Well, Gone with the Wind was
nuts.
directed by 5 guys, but yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say,
he was the last man standing.
Those studio films, it's very hard to say, to attribute the director to them.
But to have the same guy's name on both of those films from that year is pretty astounding.
Again, with the studio system, it's a very different thing than it is today. So you had a lot of minions, and a lot of those minions were actual directors and whatnot. So
I have it on my list. I don't love it. It's hard to watch.
It doesn't hold up with time. I will say that
it's important for all taking what I think probably, although everything is based on a book, Frankenstein was, really taking a book and really doing it in an epic.
You say that, Dave, but it was unlike Frankenstein and unlike Dracula. This is a fairly accurate adaptation of a book that a huge swath of the country had read, and it's this huge best-selling book, and they did not really deviate from the book that much. So this was I can't think of another film before that was so faithfully adapted. Certainly not Wizard of Oz.
But it was such a long movie. And
it was such a long movie. But again, this was the literal. This was the beginning of that kind of literal adaptation.
I saw Gone with the Wind for the first time cold in a movie theater, and when she holds up the carrot and says, "God is my witness, I'll never be hungry again," I thought the movie was over.
Oh no, that's
the intermission. Yeah, we're halfway there.
That's the intermission.
So many things in that, because I probably didn't really see it until I got 90s, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I saw it in my 20s.
But there's stuff in that I saw in it that you saw from Bugs Bunny, you saw from the Carol Burnett show, the parodies of that stuff.
Oh God, yeah.
It's been absorbed into pop culture and then kind of slowly slid out of pop culture.
I think some of the things that when I say it doesn't hold up over time, I think it's kind of two things. It's sometimes the writing very ham-fisted, and the direction, the way the actors are acting and emoting with kind of that mid-Atlantic accent, if not, it's like mid-Atlantic crossed with Southern accents. It's very much a period of the time.
Of slavery are.
Yeah, culturally,
and of course
but you have to look at it in the context of the time. But this is what I think one of the first, if not the first, movies that kept getting re-released and toured year after year after year, and was constantly being brought back and made countless amounts of money. Like they have no tracking for how much money this movie's made.
Significant thing from this is Hattie McDaniel's Oscar, which was the first black actor.
That's right.
To receive an Oscar. Right. And so,
all right. We've talked longer about a movie none of us really
liked. And I think was the only Oscar for a black performer until like Sidney Poitier, I think.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So it's like so way ahead of its time in many aspects.
All right. Anyone have 1940? I do.
I got nothing until 41.
I have 2 things.
Brian and Dave.
From 1940?
Yeah, 2 and 40.
Okay, you go. What do you got?
His Girl Friday.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
I've not seen it.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Fantastic. It's an adaptation of the play, The Front Page.
I have seen it.
Where even back in 1940 they swapped the sex of one of the characters, but it's and the the patter is anytime they do a fast patter movie where two people are talking over each other, they reference this movie because this is where it was invented by Billy Wilder. Yep. His Girl Friday.
All right, I'll go. I have Philadelphia Story. As
me too.
My second one.
Yep. Also,
I mean, to
fantastic.
me, first of all, I remember seeing it. I think I saw it in film school the first time, which is 45 years later. And you're like, oh boy, old black and white movie. And you're like, oh my God, this is like the greatest thing ever. Like the screwball comedy that, Tom Hanks wouldn't have a career if it wasn't for Philadelphia Story. This was sort of set the stage for like a decade, not a decade, a century almost of movies that are these sort of, romantic comedies, I guess is what we call them now. But, and that's
right, I have not
still
seen that one
up.
either. So just add that to the list of movies I haven't seen. And I am keeping track of the ones I haven't seen. By the way,
tons of effort to recapture that era and that kind of genre, and it doesn't always work. You have to have just the right people, and a lot of them are buried. So
the only problem with that movie is you're supposed to not like Katharine Hepburn at the beginning, and I just don't love her. So it doesn't work on that. But it's
a strong, funny female character, which is great.
Yeah,
and she took that story, she bought it off Broadway and had it produced herself and cast it, and it's her film.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, 41. Everyone should have 41.
I have a 41.
Everyone's got a
41.
I have two 41s.
All right, Barry, go ahead. What do you got? Go with one.
Citizen Kane.
Yeah,
I have to have Citizen Kane on this
Everyone
list,
should
right?
have Citizen Kane.
That movie's overrated.
I do not have Citizen Kane. I do believe it's overrated. I agree.
I think it's overrated.
So let's hear from the overrated people. Why?
Because you don't like the main character at all. There's no empathy for
not
the main
supposed
character
to.
at all.
Yep. Go ahead.
Not supposed to. I think that's a flaw in a film when there's no one in it you can like. The problem with Citizen Kane was it was so overblown by the time I saw it, and everything that's in it has been done by somebody else since.
But that's not the movie's fault.
Yeah, it's not the movie's fault.
It's not the movie's fault, but it doesn't have to be on our list of, even though it was influential, it doesn't mean it has to be on the list.
I knew you guys would put it on your list. It's not on mine.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with a character you don't like, but you're supposed to find out why you don't like him. Exactly. Wicked being a great example of that.
Well,
who would think going into that movie you'd like the Wicked Witch of the West?
Another reason why it's not on my list is my list kind of has an aspect of timelessness on it. Like you can watch it, it still holds up because whatever it is, whether it's the story or the characters or the production values, it is kind of timeless.
There's stuff in there that they invented basically.
Well, but I've watched Citizen Kane over the years. I watched it in the late 80s and I've watched it recently, and I just feel it kind of gets worse as time goes on.
I don't love it, but I think
time leaves it behind. It may be influential, but I don't recommend it as something.
But that to me is where we're all taking liberties with the concept, right? Because
of course
I took it as, and again, we are all totally entitled to do that. But to me, even if I didn't like the movie, you can't deny at the time that it was groundbreaking.
No, it's effect on filmmaking. You're correct.
Effect on filmmaking. Yeah. There's not a filmmaker who doesn't talk about it.
And that's just it. And just that, like I said, it's really easy to look at the film and say, yeah, I've seen all this before. As we've said many times.
You've seen it since.
You didn't see it before this. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And if you look at every other film from 1941 and how it's shot and just try to compare that to this, it's a lot of vanilla.
But even the way they told the story, it was not really a non-linear story.
Non-linear.
The
fact that you never saw the narrative.
That's like the first time that kind of stuff's been done.
First-person accounts, and there was so much in there that had never been done before.
The simple audiences of the time didn't know what to think about it.
No, absolutely.
Their mind was blown.
That's true.
Yeah. I have a personal anecdote. That movie was spoiled for me by an episode of Happy Days.
Wow. Really?
Yes, because the Richie's parents are going out to see a re-release of Citizen Kane, and Potsy goes, "Oh, Rosebud's his sled."
And then he says, then he said, "Okay, we're going to see Psycho," and he says, "Yeah, Norman Bates is his own mother."
That's right. Two movies.
I cannot believe you. I remember that scene. And then Howard says, "We're going for a drive. Have you seen that?"
Yeah, the one with Ryan Gosling.
And I had not seen Citizen Kane before I saw that episode of Happy Days. Yeah.
All
That's
right.
funny.
What else we got for 1941, fellas? Anything else?
Oh, yeah.
Moving on.
The Maltese Falcon.
The Maltese Falcon.
Just
Dave and Todd know.
Five for
I
five
had
on
never
that?
seen that, and I watched it last week so that I could say I had seen it before we did this show.
Well, I mean, and that to me, it's representative of like Humphrey Bogart. Well, there's other, but in that whole era of that sort of film noir kind of.
Yeah, it was the first film noir.
There's a million you could put on.
It's pre-noir.
Patient Zero.
It really does. It kind of ushers in that whole era. In some ways, and you talk about the snappy pattern. I mean, this movie is all dialogue. This isn't there's no action scenes in this thing. It's all dialogue, but done brilliantly. And you just kind of watch all these people betraying each other one after another. They've done this film over and over again with a bunch of different titles, and tried to capture that same thing. But it's brilliant. And the fact that, like I said, you never really pick up on the fact that there's no real action in this film. It's really just it's a dialogue piece. And I've watched it many, many times. So,
True.
I have one more from 41.
Go.
Ooh.
Buck Privates. Abbott and Costello's.
Abbott and
first feature
Costello.
film.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've seen it, but yeah.
And it was a breakout movie for them. They were featured in other movies before, but this was the first movie with them in it, doing their jokes and their style of comedy.
Oh wow!
At 41,
which came from vaudeville. I mean, I did not realize that. I've seen it, but I didn't realize the significance of that.
I've seen all their movies, but years ago.
Yep.
I haven't seen that probably since they used to do Abbott and Costello week on the 4:30 movies. So I probably never seen the whole thing.
That was Buck Privates?
Buck Privates.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, they had. That's again. You pick a Abbott and Costello movie.
I do like me some Abbott and Costello. That's nice. Good pick.
Okay, 1942. Does anyone not have 1942?
Yeah, come on. Best movie ever made.
I don't know about that. But
yes,
it was on the other night and we were watching it and I'm like, you really got it. And it's like the multi-striker. You got to pay attention to everything they're being said because you're like,
folks, this is Casablanca we're talking about.
Yeah, we're talking about Casablanca.
And this is exactly. There's layers to Bogart, and this is these two, Falcon and Casablanca, just juxtaposed against each other are just great. And Rick Blaine and Sam Spade are two very different people, and there's a vulnerability in Casablanca that just isn't there in Maltese Falcon.
Yeah, I asked Leonard. I met Leonard Maltin, autographing his book, and I asked him what his favorite movie of all time was, and he said it was Casablanca. Yeah. And I went back and had to revisit the movie. I was like, yeah.
I am still a little bit in love with
one.
Ingrid Bergman, and always will be.
Todd, I am in love with Ingrid Bergman. I've read biographies of Ingrid
Bergman. I have
too,
and I have two different biographies,
and that carries over to Isabella Rossellini.
Yeah, it does too.
She's a living.
Same thing. Yep. It's still there. She's kind of aging into her mother too. But
exactly.
But it's just like I said, brilliant film and made under tough circumstances. It was made during the war.
That's one of the things.
They used models for the aircraft. They couldn't show you the aircraft taking off had to be a model.
But there's like Nazis in it while there's really Nazis.
Yeah, while there's real Nazis going on.
That's what's crazy.
And they had actual European refugees in the movie playing European
refugees. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just think it couldn't have been more topical and more timely and it's like I said, it's a great film. And it's also one of these, it's, mostly interiors, shot very, very tight, very, very great dialogue, great story. And it's just perfect for its time. There's a lot of films from that era that are just utterly forgettable and have been forgotten.
So seminal that it is referenced in other movies.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And another one where it's become, even people who haven't seen it know what it is. It's So
cool.
Great stuff.
Okay, that's 1942. What's anyone's next year?
43.
Oh, you
I don't have one till 46. So.
I have 43.
I'm out till 52.
I had to throw out my 43. Go ahead.
Another Humphrey Bogart movie that was remade twice called Sahara.
I thought you were going to go Key Largo.
No, it's not Sahara.
Yep.
It's
also great.
A World War II movie about a tank crew going through the Sahara Desert.
Yep.
And it's Humphrey Bogart and a ragtag band taking on a whole division of Germans. There are no women in the movie because it's all warfare, and it is fantastic.
I have never seen this.
Yeah, that's
great.
interesting.
It's great. And
wow.
And again,
I didn't know about this movie.
It's hard to find a bad Bogart film. It really is. He was most represented in my list, and I had to start pruning back films as we got later. I had to take out Key Largo. I took out Sahara, and another one.
I took out African Queen because
same thing, and Treasure Sierra Madre. But
another,
and I took out Treasure. Yeah.
Another movie that was made during the war where they very thinly slice the bad guys that aren't so bad and can be good guys, the bad guys that are just bad guys.
Yep. Love it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Really interesting characters.
Great
film.
Wow. Nice. Yeah.
Todd, you had 43 or no?
No, I had a 44.
I had 3 and 44.
Really?
I like old movies.
I have no 44s.
Brian, how do you get to 55?
I start skipping a lot now.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Todd, why don't you go with your 44?
My 44 is Double Indemnity.
Okay, that's one of mine.
It is.
I do love Double Indemnity.
Great
one
movie.
of the first true film noirs.
Yeah.
Okay.
First femme fatale.
Seeing it as a kid, this is, is Fred McMurray was Mr. Douglas from My Three Sons. Inspiring with Victoria Barkley from The Big Valley.
I saw that in film school also. I love that movie.
And it's brilliant. And Edward G. Robinson is great in it. And it's terrific. I saw this a number of times on TV and watered down versions. Saw it for the first time in film class, and I watched it over and over again, and I just absolutely loved the film.
Yeah. Brian, you had that also or no?
I did. I've never seen it.
Yeah. No, it's fun. It's good.
I really recommend this one. Yeah.
Brian, what else did you have?
I have Laura.
Oh, yes. Yep.
Laura.
Yep.
Which is
Never heard of it.
It's a detective it's a murder mystery with a big twist about a detective who falls in love with the victim who's dead.
Yes.
Because all the stories he hears about her and what's in her apartment.
What's the unacknowledged remake of that from the 80s?
I don't know.
Sharky's Machine.
Oh,
Sharky's Machine is totally Laura.
We
it's
go
totally
from
Laura.
Classic film noir to Burt Reynolds.
Oh, Sharky's Machine is a great movie.
It is a great
list.
And anything with Rachel
Smokey and
Ward
the Bandit
is great.
It's a great movie.
But yeah, that's totally Laura. Think about it.
Wasn't the girl? Was the girl? What's her face from?
It's Rachel Ward.
Rachel Ward. That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
She was like the hottest thing in the world for 5 years.
We'll get to Rachel Ward in a minute.
Yeah,
my other 44 is Bogart to Have and Have Not.
Yeah, so hard.
It's the first one with Bacall, and
that's interesting.
If all you have to do is whistle, and that's.
But are these? I mean, I'm not questioning you, but these are influential movies, or these are just movies you love?
These are movies you have to see before you die.
Yeah. I'll agree. I got to say, there's a.
It's hard. I've narrowed those down, like in that era. But
I also love The Big Sleep. I couldn't.
Okay, you're jumping ahead now.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And yes, these movies you have to see before you die because they are so good.
Okay.
Not just influential, but they're.
So it doesn't have to be important. That everyone's got their opinion. That's why we're doing this. All right, that's 40. You're done with 44. Any 45s? 46. I had The Big Sleep in 46.
46.
Sorry,
okay.
I thought it was 44.
See, you had to. You have to have a Bogart Bacall, and that is like, again, so that another one in film school is like, oh, another black and white. Like, oh my god, this is like the greatest movie ever. And
it is great, and
I think that's representative of those.
It's also probably the best Raymond Chandler adaptation in film because
I
Ricky
think it's the
Chandler
best
did
of
the
those,
adaptation.
that era. Yeah.
Yeah, he did. He actually did he did the script treatment. Yeah, just
and I've seen it about 20 times, and I think I know the plot. I think I do.
The Big Sleep.
The Big Sleep. I have a tenuous grip
I
on
gotta
the
say,
plot.
it's hard. It's hard, even when you, like I said, if you know the story, it's it's tough. But it's also meant to be, he's meant to be a guy that's a little bit outside of his depth. That's really trying to keep up with these really good listeners people, and you need to be in his shoes.
Well, they famously asked Raymond Chandler who killed the chauffeur.
Yeah,
and he's like,
exactly.
I got no fucking idea.
No idea. Yeah,
no idea.
and it's the same as the book, though, and that's the thing.
Right.
It's like, yep, great.
And more 46.
This the only 1946 movie?
I have one more.
I have another one.
I got another one.
You guys go ahead because you won't have mine.
Barry, you go.
I've got to go with It's a Wonderful Life.
Absolutely.
Oh,
I don't like it, but I have it. It's important.
I think it's one of the greatest movies ever made.
Do you kick puppies too? I mean,
it's just not for me.
Oh my!
I think there's so many better Jimmy
soul,
Stewart
Dave.
movies. I don't know.
No, it's
a little sappy.
There's a lot of sappy.
just the ending is sappy.
By today's standards.
It's
I have it on my list because I think it's important. If you had to say,
it is
watch
important.
a Halloween movie.
It is
not
important.
Halloween, a Christmas movie.
No, it's great. It's absolutely great, and
It is a movie about suicide.
Yeah.
It is.
It's a movie about.
Well, that's
it's also. I mean, it was a flop when it came out. It's a movie that kind of had a second life long after its release, but it's a weird format for a movie too, because they spend an hour they start the movie, they spend an hour getting you to know the guy, and then they go back to the point that they started it. It's kind of a unique format for a movie in its day.
Okay, in some ways, and I've seen this comparison. It's almost like a reverse Christmas Carol too. Okay, because you take this person who's not lecherous and convince and show him, his life and his experiences, and it's just in some ways it's an inversion of that. So. Yep.
And it's also the first movie that I think explained how the modern banking system really works.
Absolutely.
Well, I can't give you your money back for your boat because it's tied up in Uncle Billy's restaurant.
It's in your house. And your car. It's just like,
well.
And Mr. Potter was like the prototype villain.
Awesome! But again, it's like I said, it's a great American story.
It is. It's a good pick. Not on my list of the top 55, but great pick.
Yeah.
But there are more 46s. Keep going, guys. This is good. Good vein.
So I'm out till 49. So go ahead.
I have a 46. Anybody else? No. I've just recently discovered this movie, and it blew me away when I saw it. It's called A Matter of Life and Death. The English movie.
I don't know this.
About David Niven is an English navigator on a bomber. His bomber gets blown up and everyone's killed on it but him, and it's going to crash in the ocean. And he calls down on the radio and a woman answers, very Captain America. And they have this conversation, this date on the radio, and he says, and then he dies. But he doesn't. Wow. He walks out of the ocean to find this girl. Yep. It turns out they screwed up in heaven, and he's supposed to be dead, but they left him alive, and they have to figure out what they're going to do about it. And he goes on trial for his life. It is.
That sounds like that Warren Beatty movie.
Heaven Can Wait.
Albert.
It's got a Heaven Can Wait element to it.
It does.
Which is also a remake.
What was the Defending Your Life, the Albert Brooks movie?
No.
That still belongs on a
Brian,
list.
I saw part of that once, and I didn't know what I was watching.
You got to watch it from the beginning because you cannot pick this movie up in the middle.
Dang, that sounds cool.
Heaven Can Wait was was a remake of Here Comes Mr. Jordan.
Yeah.
Matter of Life and Death. Find it. It blew me away.
I've got it because, like I said, I've seen part of that film and didn't really understand what it. Now that makes more sense.
Yeah. The beginning, the first part when he's talking to her on the radio was just so.
That's
engrossing.
what I didn't see. I saw from coming out of the ocean forward, and I didn't get it. Interesting.
All right, that's 46. 47. No. I don't have my Miracle on 34th Street. If you're talking about Christmas movies, 1947, I would have put that on my list, but
it was on mine. Had to take it off. Wouldn't fit.
Yeah, I didn't. Didn't make my cut.
All right, 48. Anybody? We're going to be count. We're going to have the count.
54.
49. Someone had a 49.
49. Yes.
Todd does.
Yes. The Third Man.
Oh,
absolutely brilliant. One of my favorite films, and has been my favorite film at times. I've watched it dozens of times. Beautifully made. It's an Orson Welles directed film that he didn't direct. He is a supporting character in that, and he basically stood around the whole time.
He didn't direct it?
No, he did not direct it.
Oh, wow.
But he had so much influence on this film. He was basically during a period when he was pretty much blackballed in Hollywood. So he went back to acting. Okay. After Citizen Kane, after Citizen Kane, certain people who felt slighted did everything they could to not let Orson Welles get work. And so if he couldn't get the funding himself, he couldn't produce films. And so he was an actor on this film, but he strongly influenced the director. And there's some stuff in this that's just amazing.
The shots are stunning.
Stunning.
It's stunning.
Beautifully done. And so basically a man dies. Okay. People, and his best friend comes from the United States for his funeral and discovers his friend is not who he thought he was. And everyone has a different perspective of who this person was. And watch the film. It's fantastic.
Interesting. I don't think I've seen that.
I've never seen that one either.
It's on most lists of the best films of all time. It really, and it's just great. And like I said, in recent years, it's become much more appreciated. So, yeah.
All right. Any other 49s? 50.
2.
I'm out till
2. Go ahead. I have nothing.
Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pleased out.
Talk about a unique point of view movie.
It really is. Yep. It really is.
And then also All About Eve.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is
Rita
also
Hayworth. Who's in that?
It's Betty Davis.
Betty Davis.
It's
Betty Davis. I have not seen Sunset Boulevard, but
Betty Davis is she's kind of the villain at the beginning of this movie. That she turns out to be very much not the villain by the end of the movie.
Yeah,
I saw this movie in a retro house in San Francisco.
Retro.
And when Eve first comes on the screen, all these guys are booing. It's like, what the hell? Well, I find out why. But All About Eve.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay, I saw Sunset Boulevard. I've not seen All About Eve.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
Okay. See, I told you Brian's would be the list. We've seen the least. Yep. All right, that's 50. 51. Oh, I knew I forgot something. I know what you're going to have, and I should have it. Go ahead.
There's already 14 movies I haven't seen, so I'm keeping a list because I'm going to have to go back and watch them.
This couldn't all be 40s. And I mean, I'm getting now to the point where I keep squeezing films off my list.
But okay, 40,
got 51?
51. I know what Brian has. I totally forgot it. The Thing.
Thing from Another World.
The Thing.
Yeah. The black
also
and white.
The Day the Earth Stood Still, but I couldn't get it on my list. So
The Thing is better than The Day the Earth Stood Still. It's the Keanu Reeves one is only slightly slower than the original.
I put Thing from Another World. I didn't put Day the Earth Stood Still on here because I thought one of you guys was going to pick it. It changed the way movies were made.
It really did. It's
really
great. It's significant, but there's
Good Guy Alien was just never done.
There's a band of.
But nobody picked it, so why are we talking about it?
Okay.
Well, Thing from Another World is a bad guy alien. And
who you almost never see.
But Brian, are we talking about The Thing, James Arness, The Thing, or
yes, James Arness, The Thing.
Yeah.
It's officially called The Thing from Another World.
Yes,
but everybody knows. Okay, got it.
And everyone called it The Thing.
Aliens stole lots from that. Like you never see this guy.
He's
a vegetable.
It's another
classic.
movie.
I wish I didn't have that.
The Thing is good. It didn't quite make my cut.
It has lots of tension, lots of great dialogue, and at the end, when he says, "Watch the skies, for God's sakes, watch the skies," is almost what Steven Spielberg named Close Encounters.
Yeah,
because of that movie.
Yeah. Great story by James Campbell. Anyways, but awesome.
Yeah, then that's a classic.
A lot dropped.
That's 51. Any other 51s? 52?
I've got a 52.
I have a 52. Darryl, you haven't gone. Go ahead. What do you got?
High Noon.
Yeah.
High Noon.
High Noon is my 52. I think it sets it is so great for just a Western hero. I really feel for what Gary Cooper's going through. It just does a great job of
No, that's a good one too.
It is.
Putting you in his character.
I tried to pick things that are representative of like genres in their heyday. That certainly is. I picked a different heyday for westerns, a later one, but that certainly
it was on my list at one point. It was on my
in the 50s. Yeah,
but you have a different 52.
I have a different 52. I have Singing in the Rain, which is again musicals. I mean, there's a million musicals from the 30s to the 60s, but if I had to pick one musical, which I didn't have to, but
it is the best musical. So
yeah,
it's a good
exactly.
One to pick.
So
I will say I haven't seen it, but I have the DVD and I want to watch it. It's on my short list of things to watch.
It's a little hacky. It's a musical, but it is the musical. So.
I don't think I've ever seen
argue
it
that
all
later. We'll argue that later. Anyways.
I know I've seen bits and pieces of it, and I've seen the main dance sequence a million times, but I don't think I've ever seen the whole thing.
Yeah. I almost said Danny Thomas. What's his face? Who's the guy? Gene Kelly's second best performance behind Xanadu, of course.
Yes, of course, which was his last movie.
Yep.
That's 52, 53. No,
I have War of the Worlds.
Thank you.
I couldn't keep it on the list, but I love the film. But it's
it didn't make it.
I thought about it, but it didn't make the cut.
I'm to the point. I get to the point in here where I have on my list. I have what's on my list and what it squeezed out.
Yeah,
I have some of that. Not a ton, but
So
no one has War of the Worlds.
I have War of the Worlds.
Oh, okay,
good. Thank you.
It's on mine. When I think of color films from the early part of the century, I think of Gone with the Wind and War of the Worlds. For some reason, it's just so vivid. The seeing those alien spaceships for the kind of the first time, unforgettable. And the way it ended, I won't spoil it.
Just forgot another movie.
The way it ended, absolutely amazing.
Yep.
So
I may have to make a change on the fly.
So that's
sorry.
So that's my 53. War of the Worlds. Anybody else have another 53?
No.
All right.
54.
I have.
I do.
I have two 54s.
I do.
I want to hear Barry's.
I'm sure it's on most of our lists. The original Godzilla.
Yep.
Oh no,
no.
Oh, really? I don't think it's great. It's
not. It's influence.
That's the same reason I have it. It's not my favorite Godzilla movie ever, but it started the monster genre. I mean, I know there was King Kong. I know there were things before it, but
I thought I had seen that film till the 1990s.
Raymond Burr or no Raymond Burr, Barry?
That's what I'm saying. I thought I had seen the film until the 1990s.
Yeah. The original version, I think, and that when somebody said earlier that they're all the movies are in English, I think this is like the one movie on my list that's not in English.
We forgot to mention one of the rules that we can only have one film per movie franchise on this list,
yes.
And I have a different one to represent this franchise.
Okay. That's one per franchise per person, so you're good.
Oh no,
I will say
actually I don't have it.
Oh, you squealed it out, did you?
Yeah, because it got squeezed out.
That was one of the hardest things about
good job, Barry.
List for me was
while it's important.
Good job, Barry.
Yeah, that was one of my hardest challenges making this list was keeping to the.
I just made a change right now on the fly.
For franchise thing.
I had 2 54 movies. I now have one.
Okay.
Oh.
Any other 54s?
Yeah, but I want you to go first.
Yes.
Yeah, I have another also, but let's have you guys go and see.
Why don't Brian, you go first?
I had the set. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry, Dave. You go.
Seven Samurai.
Oh, really?
Yep.
There is no Star Wars without Seven Samurai. There's no Magnificent Seven without.
Hidden also.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's to me.
Well, it's Kurosawa in general, right?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, there's
but to me, that's the best of his.
Hidden Fortress was Star Wars, but okay.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Anyway, Seven Samurai.
That's not what I thought you were going to pick, Dave.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Who else has a 54?
20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
I'm going between two, and does anybody else have a 54?
Yeah, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
I just crossed one out.
Thank you for taking 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Yep.
Okay.
I can't believe, Dave, you didn't pick 20,000 Leagues. You had chased the poster.
I know. I love that. He
likes the image of the poster better than the movie.
I like the ride.
I would say the movie. It does hold up for me, at least. It's really
I haven't
good.
seen it in years, but it is good.
It's really
not enough room for everything.
One man's descent into madness.
It's a little slow by today's pace standards, but still a classic.
Yeah.
Must-see movie.
Yeah.
And the other one is Them.
Yeah.
Them is really good.
Them, the first real giant monster, radioactive monster movie.
Great.
Lots of giant radioactive monster movies after this one.
That's a great pick.
The best.
It is amazing that psychologically we made it out of the 50s. I mean, it's like
there's so many. I'm thinking of other ones. There's so many things you could really do in the 50s.
Well, and so now we've just stumbled on the first movie on my list that I have that nobody else has. If nobody else has anything else,
okay, let's go, Barry.
I had one thing, but I crossed it out, so it doesn't count. What do you got?
On the Waterfront.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know how you.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the
Don't
first
count
movie
on
I've
the
not
Waterfront.
seen.
I will say I think that movie is overrated, but I do get it. I get it, and I've seen it.
It's a parody of itself.
I don't know. I love that movie for what it is.
Really?
I think it's for a time. I think it's dated, very dated now, and it's hard to connect with that time. But I think it was probably a very good movie.
I've seen bits and pieces, and I've seen all the parodies, but I've not seen it all the way through.
I feel like Marlon Brando is the Jack Nicholson of the 50s. Just
That's
like
well
playing himself. Like, it's just overdone. Not that I don't love Jack Nicholson,
I look at
but
that
there's a
film
lot.
But that was early enough in his career that it wasn't overdone yet.
No, it's not. I look at that film.
Maybe it's because of what's happened.
Lane
was a better.
Like From Here to Eternity, where it makes perfect sense in the context of its time.
Right.
When you look at it today, it's just like
he changed the way actors act.
Yeah.
That's
Totally.
How significant he was.
Yeah.
Hey, I would say in the era of renewed unionization, it holds up.
Yeah.
It may be more relevant now than it has been in a long time. Yeah.
Yep.
Could have been somebody.
Any other 54s?
Could have been a contender instead of a bomb, which is what I am.
Face it, Charlie. That's what I am. I'm a bum.
I had Rear Window, but I just crossed it out.
Yeah, I had to let
spectacular.
that go.
Yeah, had to let that go. Okay.
Yep.
55. I didn't think we'd be counting so much, but any 55s?
I have a 55.
Go ahead.
Probably also the other movie that none of you are going to have, but Rebel Without a Cause. To me, that was like that teen angst genre came out of that movie.
I will say some 50s movies are hard to watch after 60s movies. They just seem so produced, so like that, where it's just so angsty and so, it's hard. And I understand that for what it is. I also wonder if James Dean continued to be a thing, whether that would still be remembered the same way that it is.
All right, let's take a quick second.
Yeah,
Brian.
Don't stop anything.
And he's back.
Oh, he's back.
Oh, you're back. Okay, I was just typing to you.
That's a really good point you made, Todd, about the overproduction of the 50s movies versus the 60s. Do you attribute that to a new wave of directors?
Definitely in the 60s, they were influenced by European directors and things like that, and things changed. But it was just, there's so many overwrought scenes in the 50s things. Drama was a very different thing in the 1950s, and it's hard to watch some of those things now without feeling it's really heavy-handed.
Yeah.
Where the 40s don't feel that way.
No, they don't. It's a
You know?
little. It's more
I wonder if it's
stare.
because of theater. Did theater become like a big, like Streetcar was a theater, but was there as much theater like Broadway in the 40s? I don't know this answer
I
as there
think
was
it
in the 50s.
I think it was studio style. I think there were some films that were very dramatic films that did very, very well. And I think that they were trying to, I think it was, some of it's like Gone with the Wind legacy kind of thing, where some, everyone's looking for bigger, bolder, more dramatic.
They were adapting books, and now they're adapting plays in the 50s. And the plays are a little over the top.
Yeah.
I think the studio system was collapsing on itself, so it could be the over-the-top direction.
But also, it was because you had, it was built around stars, okay? And then you're adapting properties which are not built for stars.
That's interesting.
Okay? And so you're puffing these scenes up to make Brando big, to make, Burt Lancaster big, to make, whatever. And you end up with these like things that,
which is interesting because if you go back a decade, Humphrey Bogart was the king of the 40s, but he played different roles. A Humphrey Bogart movie wasn't, we're going to see Humphrey Bogart do the same thing, which like I joke sort of about Nicholson. It's always the same, some things, but he wasn't. But then it turned into an act. He was still worked for the studios, whether he was influential. Right. These guys are like, oh my God, the actor.
Yeah.
So
but then but you also think of those films, you think of as much more of as entireties, whereas some of the 50s films, it's like there's a certain scene, like you were saying, on the waterfront and things like that are just even one of the later Bogart films, the Cane Mutiny, it's like there's a scene that you focus on with Humphrey Bogart, and they were being written for the actors as opposed to telling the stories.
Yeah, I agree with that. I love the Cane Mutiny though.
Yeah, I do too. Oh, absolutely, it's a great film.
Had he come a decade later, we'd see him playing a very similar role in a bunch of movies, I bet, as opposed to what he did in the 40s, which was probably a better system.
Yeah. Yep.
Although not for them, they probably didn't make as much money. Yep. Anyway, okay, there we go. 55. 56, anybody?
Yeah, I think we all have one in 56
I
now.
think there's another obscure film from 56. So
I'm missing something because
I don't have it.
Yeah. So
seriously, don't have Forbidden Planet, Dave?
That's 57.
No, 56.
No, it's 56.
56.
Is it? I missed. Then I have a typo.
Yeah, no, it is 56.
I must have typed that wrong. Of course.
I was going to say, it's like your favorite movie of all time. How's that?
Why do I
squeezed out two other films for me, but I had to. It was one of the first locks on this list.
Oh my God! Yeah. Wait, Darryl, you don't have Forbidden Planet?
I don't have it, and I got to tell you guys, I probably watched it. My first viewing was later than all of yours, and it just doesn't make the cut of the top 55 for me.
Well, Darryl, it's been really good knowing you, and
let me just pull up the attendance list here. Mute. Okay.
This is where Dave tells you you're wrong.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
So, but I can objectively view it.
Everything is built on the shoulders of almost everything in your collection is built on the shoulders of this movie.
Yeah.
No, about that.
It's certainly in my collection. I didn't see it early either, Darryl. I didn't see it probably until I was in my 30s.
I saw it in 1957. It was amazing then.
Yeah.
That's why you thought it was.
I saw it in the 16th century when it was The Tempest.
I think the designs are amazing. They're great.
Again,
Shakespeare worked our script, eh?
It's brilliant. So
okay, that was 56. My bad. 57. Anybody? Brian may or may not be raising his hand. His video is awful.
Okay.
Oh, is it? I'm sorry. Yeah, but I think the snow knocked out my internet.
It's a snowstorm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You may. We'll work with you.
Like you're talking without moving your lips, Brian. That's impressive.
I do not have a 57.
Okay. Nobody.
I don't go again until 60.
Me too.
Same
50, 58.
Anybody have anything before 60?
I do. Yes. I have 3 movies before 60.
I don't know how this wasn't This is episode 555, not 555 movies.
Believe me, it gets really light later.
Okay.
I'm going to say, I thought you liked some movies that were made in the modern era.
Okay. We're going to see what people are in their lists when we hit the 19...
Brian has two. Go ahead.
The 80s and 90s are for Barry, not for me.
Brian is counter-programming. Go ahead, Brian.
I hope you left space for 1999's The Phantom Menace on your list, Brian. I'm just saying.
Oh, God. Rio Bravo.
Yeah.
It's my
John Wayne.
I've seen that one.
It's good.
Is that the one with Dean Martin?
Dean Martin is transitional in this movie. He becomes a whole new actor in this movie.
Yeah.
This is it's not on my list, but 50 what, Brian?
9.
59,
58.
Rio Bravo. 58.
Oh, it's
Rio
58.
Bravo.
It's 58.
I was confused that with Rio Lobo. I know they're both
Yeah.
in that time period.
And
Great
then
pick.
one of my favorite movies of all time, Run Silent, Run Deep, is also 58.
Good choice.
No, okay.
Without which,
I think that's a submarine movie.
It's a submarine movie, yeah. It's yeah.
All right. It's 58. 59. Anyone? I have 59. Anybody?
I thought we had the same one. Go ahead, Dave.
Some Like It Hot.
Yep.
You cannot not have a Marilyn Monroe, and this to me is the class. Not only just wacky comedy.
Wacky.
I mean, it's great. It's just like, and I'm sure there's other Marilyn Monroe movies that could make the list, 70 or Rich and all that stuff. But to me, it's got her, Tony Curtis.
Tony Curtis cross-dressing. You gotta
great.
love it, right?
Yeah.
Well, nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Such a great movie.
So are we done with the 50s?
Yes.
Yeah.
Moving into the 60s.
We're just to check in. Where are you guys on your list? What number are you on your list?
Oh, I don't have it numbered.
I'm on number 9.
I'm on 33.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm on 14.
I'm on 10. So I don't think we're going to hear a lot from Brian.
No.
18.
Okay. Wow.
So Barry, you're on 10. I'm on 9.
So we are literally.
No, I'm
there's
13.
No films
I'm
from
13.
the tens and the teens. We're halfway through our era here. The era we're covering.
I'm very backloaded. Yeah.
Oh, actually, guys, I'm on 23.
Okay.
I cut movies out and didn't change
All
my
right.
number.
I'm on 18, so
I'm halfway through my list, though, for sure.
I mean, there's a lot of important movies, for sure.
So, and our audience is going to be a lot more familiar with that. Probably
exactly.
And I'm not picking favorites. They have to be important for a reason. Anyway, 1960. I have 3 in 1960.
Two.
I have 1.
I have 1.
All right, I'll go with my first one, and then since I have 3, Magnificent Seven.
Yeah,
this is my representative Western, and just
Yep.
That
got everything
for me.
Had to have Steve McQueen,
representative
Western
team pulled together film.
Yeah, but just the classic.
Yes,
Yep.
yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Seven Samurai. Yeah.
Yep.
All those.
Someone who had 2. Someone had 2.
Who had another one?
I had 2 and Todd has 2.
Yeah.
All right, Todd, what do you got?
Time Machine.
Oh,
Time Machine. I just added Time Machine. I can't believe I forgot.
I knocked out War of the Worlds to put Time Machine in.
Huh?
My H.G. Wells concept.
Well,
you should.
I would have had 3. I would have had 3 H.G. Wells.
I think
stories
the
if I
Time
did.
Machine for storytelling, for its how they did it.
That's
it's so good.
The stop motion or whatever the hell they call it.
It's terrific.
The time lapse is awesome.
And it's a great Wells adaptation. And
it's such a cohesive story too.
It really is.
Just
and Yvette Mimieux. So
I think that probably was an omission on my list. I probably should have had that on my list.
Literally something when you said War of the Worlds, I'm like, oh my god, I don't have the time machine, and I had I took something off and put it back on.
I deliberately cut it off because I said I can't have so many H.G. Wells films.
Yep.
So that's one 60s. Who has another one?
I got one. Brian, what's your other 60?
Yeah. Psycho.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's my 60s
and
movie.
That ended up being my Hitchcock. I had
incredible.
Me too. And I was going to say that, like, I know Hitchcock isn't a franchise, but I felt like I needed a representative.
I had Rear Window also, but You could have thrown North by Northwest in there. You could
I had those both on my
Vertigo
list, and they both got shoved off for Psycho. Yeah,
I think Psycho is if you could just pick one Hitchcock, I think Psycho is the.
And I'll be honest with you, I don't think it's my favorite. I like other movies better. I mean, it's just because of what it is.
All those movies are in some ways similar to each other, with the exception of like the birds and stuff like that. Yeah. But this is very different. This is very and very. It's
a whole first act. You fall in love with a character, and they kill it.
It's such a departure from other films. It's so intense, and it's a thriller. It really is a thriller in a way that the other ones are. It's a great film, and
love it.
It should never have been. People should never have tried to remake it. So
that's for sure. Yeah. The Vince Vaughn, although the Vince Vaughn version is
Jesus Christ,
the subtleties of this, the nuanced performance, one might say,
of Anne Heche and her appearance of her butthole.
Oh God. Okay.
What are you guys talking about?
I have not seen this.
There was a Vince Vaughn Anne Heche remake of Psycho.
I did not see that.
Oh, I've never seen it.
And
I didn't know Vince Vaughn was in it.
If you freeze frame, apparently you do see her butthole.
I don't know if I need to see this. I don't know if I need to see the remake of Psycho.
Nope, you don't.
He did a shot-for-shot remake, it's Gus Van Sant, right? Gus Van Sant directed it, and he did a shot-for-shot remake of Psycho.
I don't remember the Vivian Lee.
It's totally needless. It makes no sense.
I agree 100%, but
was it in color or black and white?
60. Anything left in 1960?
No.
Okay. 61. Anybody?
I do.
Go ahead. Darryl, you go.
Darryl, what do you got?
West Side Story.
Of course.
So the greatest, I think the greatest musical of all time. I actually have watched this a surprising number of
Darryl, this
times.
is strike 2. Xanadu is the greatest musical of all time, as we just established.
This harkens back to the top 100 movies of all time.
It does, exactly, Brian. And same old thing. And I just the singing voice of Natalie Wood is just the greatest.
Yeah.
Actually, it's Marnie Nixon.
I was just going to say, it's just the lip syncing of Natalie Wood.
But the lip syncing of Natalie Wood. Anyway, it's such a phenomenal story and adaptation of the screenplay. Whatever. I don't need to elaborate.
My 1961 is Yojimbo. It's
very good.
I love the movie, and it actually bumped Seven Samurai for me. There's humor. There's and it is so. I mean, it inspired so much of the stuff in the spaghetti westerns. A lot of the Clint Eastwood stuff is this kind of Ronin samurai walks into town and everyone's trying to get him to solve their problems, and he plays everybody against themselves in a very sly way, gets his ass kicked. I mean, it's just like there's all of these tropes that you see in the Clint Eastwood films, in the spaghetti westerns that come from this, and it's just a great movie.
Great pick. Great pick.
Cool. I guess 62. I have 2.
I have 2.
One.
We probably have the same 2, Dave.
No, but who has 2? Brian, Dave?
I have 1.
I have 2.
Yeah, I have
what do you got,
also.
Darryl?
I've got number 1, Lawrence of Arabia.
There you go. This is what spawned this topic.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Which we talked about.
I have now seen.
Yep.
And my so do we need to talk about Lawrence of Arabia? I mean, I think
we talked about it a lot.
Well, I think we should talk about it for 30 seconds, only because it was what started.
Barry, what's your impression of Lawrence of Arabia?
I didn't love it.
I thought it was he thought he was going to see Lawrence of Labia, but
I will say this: it's epic and it's epic. It's cinematic and it's beautiful.
What is it?
But story-wise, it's
Panavision, VistaVision.
Yeah, I mean it's
problem when you make when you film a true story. You kind of have to go with what happened. And
I get that. Trust me, I get it. But yeah, it was all right.
It's a little
glad I saw it.
But it's an epic.
It is one of the most gorgeous films ever made.
So beautiful. Yeah.
Great performances.
Quick poll, guys. Did
Omar Sharif. It's just
in a theater.
I saw it in a theater like years ago.
I did too.
I did not.
I have never seen it in a theater, and I agree with Barry.
I mean, just
That's what everybody says.
You see it in a really big screen. It's pretty
70
freaking
millimeter,
epic.
yeah.
I watched it on a 75-inch TV in 4K. It looked great.
Yep.
But
and so my second one is To Kill a Mockingbird.
I have To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah.
Yep.
Classic. I had to take it off, but it was great.
And I saw it before I read the book, and they were both amazing.
I did too.
They're both amazing.
Maybe I didn't.
I mean, Gregory Peck's performance is just one of the greatest.
Robert Duvall. Just there's themes again in the '60s and that takes place in the South, and put that in obviously a book, but
so important.
Yep.
Important.
Yep.
Okay. 62. Anyone else? 62.
Yeah.
Brian, something we never heard of.
The Longest Day.
Yep. Had to bump it. Yep. It's
that.
in favor of my next film, but
Okay.
it was a tough choice. It was
The Longest Day is Saving Private Ryan before they made Saving Private Ryan.
There's no film, there's no Hollywood film that you can find where there are so many people. I mean, you recognize everybody in every, and it's when they went out and they got all these people out of their studio contracts to make this film, so they could actually, there's all these people. It's amazing.
There's one helicopter shot in this movie that was so difficult and involves so many soldiers, and it's a single shot. It's a oneer of this assault on a convent.
Yep.
It was so hard they had to get another director to do it because the first director couldn't get it done.
Wow,
it's an amazing movie.
It's one of the most significant war movies ever, and it should get more attention than it does.
It's a good pick.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's not as much fun as my next film. So,
which is 1963's
The Great Escape.
The Great Escape.
Yeah.
The Great Escape is awesome.
Yep.
Never seen it.
You never seen The Great Escape? This is
no.
You've never seen The Great Escape?
You're in for a treat, man.
Yeah.
Not only because
what is the one iconic thing that comes to your mind when you think of The Great Escape? What is the one?
No spoilers for Barry.
No,
I know about the motorcycle. I know
that's what I'm saying.
The motorcycle.
That's the pop culture thing. It just
it's funny because if you look at the context of war movies, I don't think I've seen The Longest Day, but it's so enjoyable to watch, even though it's guys in a freaking prisoner of war camp. It's a must see. It
is harder to say who's not in The Longest Day than who's in it. Look at the cast of that film sometimes. It's amazing. Yeah.
So The Great Escape. You're in for a treat, Barry.
Yep.
Great Escape, must see. It's fun. It's fun. I mean,
I'm adding it to my list.
As much as it's serious and tragic and it's fun. Okay.
I have one more 63. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb.
That movie.
I
hate that movie.
That's a great movie. Really? That's shocking to me.
I only saw that for the first time this year, and did not.
I'm sorry you wasted that time. I saw that in film school. Oh, don't love it.
My son wanted to watch all the Kubrick films, and we watched it. But
I took a Kubrick class,
and that's one of them.
It's brutal.
Yeah, it is one of them.
I have watched it. I don't hate it. I don't love it. It feels like it is one of these things that, like, you can look at it and say, "Oh yeah, this was very, very edgy at its time."
Yeah,
but I'm not in that time.
I agree. Yep.
And hey, slim pickings on the bomb. It's like, hey, it's like
it might be boys. It might be warfare toe to toe with the Ruskies.
It might be my favorite.
But if I had been 17 in 1964, I might have loved it. I did not love it as an adult watching it.
I didn't love it either. I saw it, and I took a Kubrick class. There's some rough movie. Killers, Paths of Glory.
Yeah.
I didn't love that movie.
Killers is okay, but it's
I think that was the one I liked the least.
Yeah.
They made a serious version of Doctor Strangelove at the same time. Failsafe is the same movie as Doctor Strangelove.
It really is. Yeah.
I read the book.
Yep.
They're both based on that same book.
I love the book. Actually, I haven't seen it.
I remember read that in high school. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, is that 63? Everybody, 63.
Yep.
64.
Here we go.
64.
I have two very opposite movies.
Yes.
I have a 64 also.
I have a 64.
Go for it.
64. Wait a minute. Does anyone not have a 64?
We all have a 64. Brian is too good, so he gets to go. Give us your more obscure one.
The more obscure one? No, I don't have an obscure one from 64.
Well, that's what you say.
Give us the one that we don't have, because you know
When
which
you
one
don't
we
have
all have.
is when you don't have is Mary Poppins.
Oh,
That's true.
Poppins,
Okay.
yeah.
Definitely didn't
and,
have
and
that.
that I will say that got bumped in favor of another one that's coming up, but it's yeah.
It's I guess I did I have 20,000 Leagues? You had here. I can't remember if 20,000 Leagues or not, but it's one of my favorite live action Disney movies.
Yep.
It's just
it's definitely probably belongs on the list.
It's a great pick. It
For sure.
yeah.
Wait,
respect.
do we all think we have the same? I don't know that we all
And
have
best,
the
and
same
best
64
Yes.
English accent by an American ever, I will say.
What-
Yep.
Darryl, what do you think you have?
I think we all have Goldfinger.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you of 24 films, I don't know how many there are.
5, right?
25, 20. You're right. 25.
This is the
gotta
pick
count.
of
This
the
is the
franchise
representative
for
of-
all 5 of us.
We had to pick a Bond movie. This
Is
was
this
the
the
Bond
first
movie.
one that we all
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the first one, right?
First
the only
Bond
one
movie?
You can only pick one from a franchise.
No, I'm
Yeah.
saying, is this the first movie that all 5 of us have had?
Oh.
Yes.
I don't know, but yeah.
I think it is.
I'm surprised. I thought people would pick other ones.
No, there is.
But this is
Goldfinger's so good.
the quintessential
Okay,
James
so-
Bond.
If you
for
were
sure.
going,
So good.
everybody's going to pick an alternate Bond, what would it have been?
Oof. Well, that's
It's
hard.
hard.
That's so hard.
I like so many of them. They're clustered, for me.
Yep.
I would
I
on
would've
Her
gone back
Majesty's Secret Service, perhaps.
I got to say, is probably my third. It would be Doctor No.
Really?
Dr. No's very
Doctor
good.
No's a little slow. While
I-
representative, I'd go something weird like Man with the Golden Gun.
Or I was going to say Man with the Golden Gun, or maybe Live and Let Die.
Those are, again, it doesn't represent James, but they are so built into their time. We've done several episodes on James Bond.
Yeah, mine would be The Spy Who Loved Me. That's just for the car.
Also very good.
So
Yeah, also very
yes,
good.
What is the most Ian Fleming Bond film?
From Russia with Love.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Everyone says that's the most like the book.
It really is. It follows.
And it's a little boring.
It's a little boring, but it's and I think that exists because the first one did so well, and all of a sudden they were like more respectful of the author. Before
you know what I would pick? My favorite, even though I love Goldfinger, my favorite is You Only Live Twice. My favorite of the Connery era.
It's great. Yeah.
It's just but this is more the car, the laser, it is what we all know why.
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Yeah,
really.
Greatest line ever in a Bond movie.
It really is.
Okay. Where are we? Any 64s? Anyone more
64?
No. 60. I have 65. 65.
I got a 65.
I have one.
Todd, what do you got?
Sound of Music.
I almost had that.
Really?
I was going to go with a musical, and I considered everything that all of you have already said so far, except West Side Story, and I went with The Sound of Music.
If I did not have Singing in the Rain, I probably would have.
It's got a great story to it, and it's a true story. And I've actually met some Von Trapps, and
I worked with Von Trapps.
did you? Yeah.
Yep.
They got a big connection when they.
I see your Von Trapp and trump you.
When they when they came to the United States, the younger children went to my school.
Yep.
So but yeah, no, it's again, it's iconic. It's absolutely great, and you can't make a list without Julie Andrews in there. So.
I'm scanning my list
She's
now
perfect.
and realizing I don't have a single actual musical on my list.
Okay.
And you're the music guy.
Yeah,
Well,
You don't
I
have Yellow
movies
Submarine?
with music in them, but not music.
Hard Day's
not
Night?
where they're singing the story.
right. Yeah.
Brian, what did you have?
So Todd, I realized when you live in the Northeast,
Yeah.
you just know Von Trapps.
Yeah,
They're just-
that's pretty much what it is. It's like
There's a bunch of them.
Smith, Joneses, and then Von Trapps. Yeah.
Exactly. Sorry.
They're
Okay,
hard.
Brian.
Who had another one?
I have another Jack Lemmon, Tony Curtis movie, The Great Race.
Yep.
Race.
Great Race. They race from New York to Paris.
You can't do that.
Yeah, I know. And Jack Lemmon plays a number of characters in the movie, and it's a slapstick fun movie that takes place across the United States and across Europe. and parodies a lot of movies you've seen.
Yep.
Interesting.
It's
very much of its time, though. Because of some of the things that it parodies and some of the things that are almost lost references. So, but good film.
Okay. No more 65s. 66.
Yeah, I went with the good, bad, and the ugly for my.
Yes,
I did too.
For my
that was my 60s.
West.
It had to be a Clint Eastwood Western.
Yep.
Good, bad, and ugly.
Don't know. I've seen it all the way through.
Great pick. One of the greatest scores in film history as well.
All those spaghetti westerns run together, so I have no idea if I've actually seen that one.
I'm so not a fan of westerns that I don't have a single western on my list.
Really? That one? Those three. To me, there's three. There's what? Fistful of Dollars, Few Dollars More, Good, Bad, and Ugly. Those are must-sees, I think.
Yeah. I get that they belong on a version of this list. Like, I'm not saying that they don't deserve to be there. It's just not for me.
No offense.
I have 3 westerns in total, and
these are not like the John Wayne kind of. No offense to John Wayne. They're a little like same thing over and over again. Yeah. Westerns. Man of Shot, Liberty Valance though was actually pretty good. I don't know. This is a different era.
Those 3 movies, Dave, I have in a box set I bought years ago on DVD. I've yet to actually sit down and watch them.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. That was 66. No one else? 67.
I have one. The Producers.
Great film.
Zero Mostel and Gene Wilder.
Not a must-see.
I think that Mel Brooks belongs on this list. To me, that's just not the one.
That's what I had to do. I had to bump this one for another one.
I hear you. I did the opposite.
I had a hard time with the Mel Brooks movies because I knew one of them needed to be on my list, and it was really hard.
Yeah, I have a hard time with Mel Brooks in general, but
me too. Yep. Darryl, did you have something else?
I have The Graduate.
Yep.
I almost had The Graduate.
So am I the only one with The Graduate?
Yeah, I kind of took it off my list.
Yep. So I don't know if we need to talk about The Graduate too much, but it may, one of those first countercultural films that really, really took hold. So
yeah, fair enough.
With a great soundtrack, not a musical, but
amazing
a great soundtrack.
I talked about this before, but there's a great book called Pictures at the Revolution about the 1967 Oscar contenders, The Graduate, Bonnie and Clyde, and Dr. Dolittle. And so it's just like this clash of old Hollywood versus new Hollywood.
Yeah.
And brilliant. I had to squeeze Bonnie and Clyde off my list, but that
was in consideration at one point. Yeah.
I think you're right. It's like the changing of the guard.
It really is. You look at Dr. Dolittle up against some of these other films which are influenced by European films and particularly French films and
Okay. 1968. We'll let you go. We'll let you go first, Brian, because we know you like this movie.
Are we 5 for 5?
I'm not going to go with the obvious one. I want to go with Ice Station Zebra because it's my favorite.
Oh
movie.
my God! That's not. You've never seen.
I have 3 from '68, so you guys just get it out of your system here.
I'm going because you guys will have all the other ones.
I had 2001. I don't like it, but I have it.
It's very good.
Of course, 2001 is on the list.
2001 is the movie on my list that I like the least.
Yeah,
but it made your list. I know you don't like it.
It's not on my list.
It has to be on the list.
It has to be on the list.
It has to be on the list, and it
has to be.
It's effing brilliant. And Barry, if you hate it so much, send me the model. Okay.
It's slow and boring. I don't know what else to say.
It's incredibly slow.
Space is slow. Okay.
That doesn't mean I have to watch it.
It takes a long time to get places. Again, if you saw it in a theater first, you would feel differently.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
I love a crappy Star Trek movie that so reeks of this film. Anyways.
All right. It's slow. Give me a Steenbeck and a work print, and I'll tighten it up for you. Anyway, okay.
I get 2
more. Any more 1968s?
Yes.
No, of course.
Todd, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I've got one that none of you have, I think. So if somebody else wants to go first with
no, go with yours. That's
Planet of the Apes.
Oh, we all have
Yes!
Planet of the
I
Apes.
have Planet of the
Of
Apes.
course.
What are you talking
No,
about?
I'm saying that's not my one.
Yeah, I've got
okay.
another one also, which
okay.
maybe could be the same one as you.
Everyone has
Todd.
Planet of the Apes. That's the second one we all have. You have to.
Everybody has it. Okay,
No,
good.
I took it off. I took it off because I knew you guys would all have it. But you're right, it belongs on the
Because
list.
Ice Station Zebra needed a place on the
Yeah,
list.
Ice
You were-
Station
you were
Zebra.
right,
The
sir.
one person.
Okay.
No, there's two people love that movie. Brian and the guy who beat him out on the
I'll
mono.
bid him on the plane.
Don't forget Howard Hughes, but Howard
Yeah.
Hughes' his favorite movie.
Okay, the guy who pees in a bottle and saves it. That's who we're considering.
So what else do we have for?
So, Todd, you have
Number
another
68?
68?
I
You
have
wanna
a
go?
68. I'm hoping you have the other 68 that I had to squeeze out, but I have
Okay.
Rosemary's Baby.
Nope, that's what I have also.
Rosemary's Baby.
That's
Yeah.
creepy. I can't watch those movies.
I have
It's
not
creepy
seen it.
as hell, but it's one of the
No, I get
When
it.
it's-
I'm
Essential-
going to change mine. You can have Rosemary's Baby. I'm going with Night of the Living Dead.
Okay.
Night of the Living Dead. I totally forgot
Okay,
about that.
so you take Rosemary's Baby. I'll take Night of the Living Dead, and we got it
Yep.
covered.
Night of the Living Dead belongs on the list because
I went back and
it
forth
does.
between these two, and both of
the
these
low budget sort of
so
gore
totally
movie.
different
Yeah.
films, but both just so intensely creepy and brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And
I
But
will
if I were
say,
to pick
I will
something
say-
from this genre, I would maybe pick the second one
well, again, it's yeah.
from the series. Anyway, Darryl, I'm sorry.
I
you were saying
got to
something?
say, these didn't make my cut, but I'm looking at the films that we're picking for 68. There's a turning point here, right? These are fantastic films.
It is that tipping
I
point
mean-
is 67, 68, and all of a sudden film changed. And
Yeah,
that is
yeah.
the point. But it's also the most significant year in the latter half of the 20th century is 1968.
I will
Culture,
say,
politics,
wow,
Well,
I'm
it's the,
blown
it's the
away.
death
Everything.
of the studio system and the rise of the independent,
everything.
independent director.
I used to teach a week of history class just on 1968 and
Man.
pop culture, the Democratic National Convention,
the
the
Tet
anti-war
offensive,
This is
the
a
Tet
huge-
Surfing on the
offensive.
moon.
It is the point that we lost faith in government and all these kinds of things, but it was reflected in these cultural influences were reflected in our films also, and you really see it, and it's amazing.
I think between Planet of the Apes, Ice Station Zebra, Rosemary's Baby, Night of the Living Dead, and 2001,
Oh yeah,
you're hard pressed to pick another top five that's
You-
so
you
power
think
packed.
about, and this is one of the points that I made that so the 70s really started in 1968. That's the point that I've always made because it's a different era
I agree.
than everything before that. The 1965 and
you're not
earlier
kidding.
pretty much belong in the 50s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking
Well,
at my
I think
list-
the same thing.
I'm looking at my next 5 movies, and boy, are you right.
Yeah.
Holy
Oh, no,
crap.
But I think the 70s really start in like 75.
Wow.
Totally agree.
Yep.
Wow.
And it's,
Because the
it's-
60, I don't think of this. I think the opposite of what you said. I think the 50s go probably up until like 63, 64. Then the 60s are up until like 72. So the 68 is 60s.
okay, but that's but I'm
counterculture.
saying it's a different.
But then the 70s start
68 is more like 72.
Kramer versus
Then it
Kramer
is
and all
65.
that
Let's
stuff.
let's
you know?
let's keep going, and we'll
Yeah.
get straight to the
Okay.
point
Right.
that
Any
That's
more
all
68?
done.
Todd's
68,
making.
69.
Um,
I have a 69.
I have a 69 also. I have two. Okay. This is. I'm going to.
Todd's adding movies that he took off just to
No,
that he needs to
I'm
get them
telling
in.
you, I'm at 22 right now. Okay. I'm at 22 right now. But
Butch
I'm
Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Sorry.
This is my one and only tie. It is. I've gone back and forth.
Except for Night of the Living Dead.
No. That's a swap. You made a swap too. Okay. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and True Grit.
Oh, True Grit.
Oh, True Grit. Good pick.
I've changed those positions like 4 times, and I can't pick one over the other.
those movies were the same year.
Well, the funny thing is,
Well, you
They're
can
so
pick one over the other. It
different.
means you got to take something.
Yeah,
else
that's
off
what
a
I'm
later
saying.
part
he
of the
doesn't want to
list.
do
perfect.
that, though.
It is perfect.
Well,
They
so we're
show
making
what
up rules now
They
as we
show
go.
what
We
you
can have
do
time.
with a Western. Okay, they show what you can do with a Western. Something that should basically be, a genre that should have been totally played out at that point.
Well, that's the funny thing to me. Butch Cassidy and all the what we just talked about, all those 60s, those late 60s movies. Butch Cassidy was like the last of the early 60s and the 50s. You know, it almost
Butch
doesn't
Cassidy
belong where it
turning
came
point.
out.
No, not at all. I think the sensibilities of that
No,
film,
not what I'm saying. I didn't mean of the 60s. It's almost one of the last movies of, you know, that whole Magnificent Seven, Lawrence, you know, those kinds. It's Great Escape.
You're talking about
totally
True
different
Grit.
sensibility.
True Grit was
that.
the last of those movies.
That is a modern film
I agree,
set in a past age.
It's a Western, though.
True Grit is more evocative of like The Searchers and that earlier area and stuff like that. And that's where, like I said, but it's that last kind of.
Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid had no score. It had 3 musical numbers. It had no score. It had good bad guys who get killed at the end.
Yeah.
This is not a normal Western.
Yeah, I guess.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
It is more. It's more Bonnie and Clyde than those other things. And
True.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have never seen it.
Good movie.
Oh, Barry, you're in for a treat.
Barry, it is.
Watch it with Maria.
Go in there with an open mind. It's.
I'm not a Westerns guy, so I never.
It's not even a Western.
It's not a Western.
It's a Paul Newman, Robert Redford movie.
Yes, it is.
So you think you used enough dynamite there, Butch?
Yeah.
Brilliant movie.
Rolls in a knife fight?
Yeah.
All right. That's.
Oh, I forgot another movie. Damn it.
See, now we're getting good. I'm only at number 16 on my list.
I'm clean till 72, so you guys keep going.
Done with 69.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm at 18, Derryl, so I'm not far behind.
I'm at 27.
Barry and I are the babies.
I'm with you. I'm at 28. Yeah. All right. We're going to stop it here, and we're going to do this. I hate to throw a Dune on everyone, but this is going to be 2 episodes.
We'll see if we still want to talk to each other.
A la Dune, Wicked, and
Dune.
Various Harry Potter films.
Yeah. So
if we're still talking to each other, we'll be back next week.
No, through the magic of television, we powered through this for 3 freaking hours, but we're going to split it into episodes anyway. So, check us out next week for the continuation of the 55 most important movies of the 20th century. Not the 20th century. Of before,
You're fine, Dave.
For 1999. No, I read it. Anyway, we're incoherent at this point. I am, at least. So, tune in next week, and thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.